Welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be tackling something you were curious about, watch and clock repair.
Okay.
We're really going beyond changing batteries and setting the time here.
Yeah.
And trust me, it gets pretty fascinating.
It really does. It's a field where, you've got these echoes of centuries-old craftsmanship, but they meet cutting-edge technology,
Hmm.
often like under the same magnifying glass. You know what I mean? We're
Right.
talking about these like intricate dances of like these tiny gears and springs, these delicate movements, but then also things like silicon components and digital displays.
Yeah. I was reading that some high-end mechanical watches can even have multiple complications. And no,
Mhm.
we're not talking about your watch suddenly texting your ex. Complications are those extra features beyond just telling the time,
Right.
like moon phases, chronographs, even perpetual calendars that adjust for leap years.
Mhm.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And the fact that someone can repair these tiny, complex machines is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. And the range of what a watch and clock repairer actually does is like far broader than I think a lot of people realize.
I would imagine.
We're talking about using like really specialized tools to manipulate parts that are often barely visible to the naked eye. You know,
Wow.
you might be restoring the delicate balance wheel of a vintage pocket watch one day, and then like the next day you're replacing a cracked AMOLED screen on like a luxury smartwatch.
So there's really quite a range there. It's not just about fixing what's broken, though, right? It's also about preventative care, like cleaning and oiling these intricate mechanisms to ensure they run smoothly for years to come.
Yeah.
The sources mention something called a movement. Is that like the heart of a watch?
Yeah.
Kind of like its engine?
That's a really great analogy. The movement is like the heart and soul of any timepiece, whether we're talking about like a simple quartz watch or if it's like a really complex mechanical marvel. In a quartz watch, the movement is powered by a battery, and that sends an electrical signal to a quartz crystal, and that vibrates at like this precise frequency to regulate the timekeeping. But in a mechanical watch, well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, you've piqued my interest. Lay it on me what makes mechanical movements so special.
So imagine this. Hundreds of tiny parts,
Okay.
all working together in perfect harmony to measure the passage of time.
Wow.
We're talking gears, springs, levers, all meticulously crafted and assembled to harness the energy from a wound mainspring, or sometimes like the subtle movements of your wrist, and to repair a mechanical movement that requires an incredible amount of skill and like a lot of patience.
I can imagine. One slip of the hand, and you've sent tiny watch parts flying across the room. Talk about pressure. So, from what I'm gathering, this isn't a career for the clumsy or faint of heart. Is that something that drew you to this field, that incredible level of precision and detail?
Absolutely. For me, the challenge of working with these intricate mechanisms, of like the subtle interplay of physics and engineering that was incredibly appealing.
Hmm.
There's a certain satisfaction that comes from taking apart a complex movement, figuring out what the issue is, diagnosing it, and then like painstakingly restoring it to perfect working order.
Yeah.
It's like solving a miniature mechanical puzzle,
Mm.
but one tick at a time.
And speaking of puzzles, the sources painted a pretty diverse picture of where someone in this field might work. It's not all, dusty workshops filled with old clocks, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
While independent shops are certainly common, and some people are drawn to that, that classic image, there are opportunities in bustling retail environments too. And then for those with an entrepreneurial spirit, there's definitely potential to like run a successful home-based business.
Flexible hours, being your own boss, and the smell of watch oil in the air. I can see the appeal. But I imagine that kind of independence comes with its own set of challenges, right? It's not all sunshine and vintage Rolexes.
You're absolutely right. Every career path has, its pros and cons, and watch and clock repair is no exception. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room,
Okay.
the rise of digital technology. With everyone and their mother relying on their smartphones to tell time these days, you might be wondering, is this even a viable career path anymore?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean,
Right.
why learn to fix a watch when your phone tells time, A&D makes toast?
Right.
But something tells me it's not that simple.
You're right on the money.
Mm.
I mean, it's easy to just sort of assume this is like a dying trade,
Right.
but that's not the full picture. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. When was the last time you saw someone get their phone repaired?
Okay, point taken. We're definitely a society of replacing, not repairing.
Exactly.
But watches, especially mechanical ones, they feel different.
Yeah, I mean, they really do. They're often seen as like heirlooms or investments or even just like beautifully crafted objects, right?
Right.
People don't just toss them out at the first sign of trouble. And so that
Yeah.
creates this consistent demand for skilled repairers.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the sources we dug into,
Yeah.
they highlighted this fascinating trend.
Ooh, do tell.
Yeah.
I love a good trend.
So it turns out younger generations are increasingly drawn to
Okay.
the craftsmanship and artistry of mechanical watches.
Really?
Yeah, it's like this rebellion against this disposable tech culture. They
Interesting.
want something unique. They want something durable. They want something that tells a story.
So it's not just about telling time anymore. It's about making a statement.
Absolutely.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But statements aside, let's be practical. What are the real career prospects here?
Yeah,
Can this be more than a hobbyist's passion?
absolutely. And while the sources did mention a decline in like traditional watch repair jobs,
Yeah.
they also highlighted like stable employment for those with specialized skills. So
Mm.
think high-end brands,
Right.
think antique restoration, or even those smartwatch hybrids.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's that whole self-employment route that we haven't fully explored.
Now, that's an area I'm particularly interested in. What does it take to go solo in this field? Is it all about setting up shop in a charming but slightly dusty attic space?
Well, I mean, a charming attic certainly wouldn't hurt.
Right.
But seriously, though, succeeding as a self-employed watch and clock repairer, it takes more than just technical skills, right?
Of course.
Think of it like this. You're running a miniature surgical theater and a business, like at the same time.
Okay, that's an image. So I'm guessing steady hands aren't enough.
No,
You need some business savvy, too.
you really do. You need to be able to market your services. You've got to manage inventory, maybe even handle like some tricky customer interactions.
I bet.
I mean, imagine someone brings in their grandfather's gold pocket watch.
Oh, yeah.
That's not just a repair job at that point.
No.
That's like delicate emotional territory.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that.
Huh?
You're not just fixing a watch, you're potentially preserving, like, a family heirloom.
Right.
That adds a whole other layer of pressure.
It does, but it's also incredibly rewarding too. And the
Uh,
sources really emphasized how important it is to build trust, build a solid reputation. Word of mouth referrals can make or break the self-employed repairer.
It's all about that personal connection, that sense of expertise.
Exactly.
Makes sense. You're literally handling people's precious belongings.
Precisely. But let's not forget about the elephant in the room, smartwatches.
Yeah.
We talked about their impact on, the job market a bit, but what about the skills themselves? I mean,
So are we saying that, like, learning traditional watch repair might lead someone down the road to, like, replacing a microchip in an Apple Watch?
it's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Okay.
You remember those intricate movements we discussed?
Right.
All those
Yeah.
like tiny gears and springs.
Yeah.
The sources highlighted that like working at that scale, developing that level of precision,
Okay.
it translates to other fields.
Okay.
So like microelectronics repair, working on high-end audio equipment, even some medical devices, those skills are very transferable.
So it's almost like this career path is kind of branching out, evolving alongside technology. You might start by learning like the art of traditional watchmaking, but end up with skills that are relevant to the latest gadgets.
Exactly. And the sources actually mentioned a term that I thought was really interesting, mechatronics.
Okay.
And it's like this blend of mechanical engineering, electronics, and computer science.
Hmm.
And it's becoming increasingly important in fields like robotics and automation.
Okay, hold on. You're telling me that someone who learned to fix a grandfather clock might have a head start in understanding how to program a robot?
It might sound crazy.
That's wild.
It all comes back to the fundamentals.
Okay.
It's that ability to break down these complex systems, diagnose problems, work with precision.
Yeah.
Those are really valuable skills across multiple disciplines.
Right.
And the beauty of watch and clock repair is that it kind of teaches you those fundamentals,
Yeah.
but in a really tangible, hands-on way.
You're literally holding the inner workings of a machine in your hand. You're
Yeah.
not just staring at lines of code on a screen.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it brings us back to that earlier point we made about the value of skilled trades in a world that's becoming increasingly automated.
Right.
We hear a lot about robots replacing human jobs.
Right.
But what about the people who build those robots,
Right.
who maintain them, who repair them?
Exactly.
Those roles will always require human ingenuity and expertise.
It's not man versus machine, it's man with machine. We need people who understand both sides of the equation.
I completely agree. And the sources even touched on how automation itself is creating new opportunities within watch and clock repair.
Really?
Yeah. For example, there are now computer-controlled machines that can cut gears with incredible precision.
Wow.
But you still need someone to program those machines, to calibrate them, to make sure they're producing high-quality components.
So there's this fascinating interplay between tradition and innovation that's happening within the field itself. It's not just about preserving the past, it's about shaping the future too.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what makes this such an exciting time to be involved in the world of watch and clock repair.
It's a field that's brimming with both history and possibility.
I agree.
Now, for our listeners who are totally hooked and want to dive deeper into this world,
Yeah.
where should they start? I imagine those old school apprenticeships are still a thing, right?
Yeah, apprenticeships are definitely still a fantastic way to learn the craft.
Yeah.
You're learning from experienced watchmakers. It's that traditional passing down of knowledge, that
Yeah.
mentor-mentee relationship
Right.
that can be so valuable.
It's like a direct line to centuries of accumulated wisdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then beyond apprenticeships, you also have things like technical schools and specialized programs that offer more comprehensive training in watch and clock repair.
Okay.
The sources actually specifically mention the American Watchmakers Clockmakers Institute, AWCI.
Right.
They offer certification programs that are really well respected within the industry.
So it's not just about finding someone willing to teach you the ropes. There's actual structured education available.
Right.
That's really encouraging.
It is. And then on top of that, let's not forget about all the resources that are available online.
Of course.
So, for instance, the Watch You Seek forum has this whole dedicated section for watchmaking and repair,
Okay.
where you can connect with other enthusiasts, ask questions, and just find a ton of valuable information.
It's amazing how technology can both disrupt and enhance a field like this.
It really is.
Yeah.
And for those who are more hands-on, there are even kits available online that allow you to disassemble and reassemble watch movements at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So whether you're looking for a formal education, a supportive community, or just a way to tinker and learn at your own pace,
Right.
there really is a path for everyone.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
This field, steeped in tradition and precision, it's also incredibly welcoming to newcomers and those with a thirst for knowledge.
It's like a hidden world full of intricate beauty and timeless craftsmanship just waiting to be discovered.
Beautifully said.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive has inspired someone out there to kind of embark on their own journey into this world.
You never know. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We've explored the intricate skills, the unexpected career paths, and even kind of the philosophical side of keeping time.
Yeah.
But here's a final thought for you to ponder. If, as we've discussed, a watch is more than just a time-telling device, if it's a statement, an heirloom, a piece of history held in the palm of your hand, then isn't the person who repairs that watch also preserving something much greater than just gears and springs?
Yeah.
Something worth cherishing in a
yeah.
world that's constantly ticking by.